Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Wargaming. I'm your host, Dom Maidlow, also known as Dark Techno Dom from the Realspace Raiders Drukhari Podcast. Now this is something a little different. I'm interviewing true tabletop legends. And with me today, I've got Stephen Box from Vanguard Tactics. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing very well, Dom. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So for everyone that doesn't know, this is going to be like an interview platform, and Stephen's very kindly said that he'd come on for the first one, and I'm very looking forward to the episode, and hopefully it'll be a good one. I obviously met you in person at Leicester at the tournament in the UK tournament. So I'm quite into my tournaments. You are quite into your tournaments. How have you been enjoying the UK tournament scene so far?
Yeah, obviously been a very interesting one this year because it's really, for me, since that COVID, the real chance to get out back on the table. I know we had a couple of tournaments last year, but with the infrequency of it, it's just so nice this year to get back out in the community, play some games, just meet some new friends, just be part of it all. So yeah, it's just been a fantastic experience. I haven't been to as many as I'd liked, what with work taking up so much of my time now,
Yeah,
but in some of the, unfortunately, the larger events I've missed out on. But hopefully next season, I can really start to attend much larger events, which I'm looking forward to, because that's what it's about. It's just meeting different people from all different walks of life.
yeah, 100%. And I've all the tournaments I've been to this year, I can see the community's growing, and I've seen a lot more Vanguard Tactics t-shirts all around at all the events, which is great. But you said you haven't been to many, but you're actually doing really well in the ITC, and your team is. So you yourself are 35th globally as a player rank, and
It's not
you're
too
the
bad.
number 3 global sisters player. And the
Okay.
ITC team for Vanguard Tactics is third in Europe and sixth globally. It's pretty
No,
good.
so that's what I'm happy about, the team doing well. Because the Vanguard Tactics team is solely made of the coaches who coach on my academy, or the students of the academy course as well. So it's our sort of combination. So it really, for me, is that I suppose the proof is in the pudding, that the thing that I've worked so hard on actually works. Because obviously when you first launch a product, you're like, is this going to do anything?
Yeah.
So it's actually nice to see not just the coaches contributing scores, the students as well, which is so rewarding to see, which is brilliant. It's exactly what we want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've seen your channel grow and grow and grow over the years, and the quality of your content on YouTube and all your promotional work on the Instagram and even in person with all your really sweet Vanguard Tactics t-shirts, and that like it's really cool. They're like esports jerseys. They are.
Yeah, that's what I really wanted, is like especially with the kit, like a real professional feel to it. Yeah, so something a little bit different. Yeah, it was good.
So, speaking about esports, so I am a big fan of like all of these sort of esports, which are growing up and making all these different gaming communities grow and grow and grow, and it's great for the fan base. It's great for all of these, and I'm really hoping that eventually Warhammer could get to the stage where you'll have sponsored events and all these sorts of things. What do you think about the like escalation of 40k and the state of the game, and it potentially being an esport one day?
Interesting question. I think in order for it to be an esports, it has to be viewable. And in order for it to be viewable by the masses, it really has to be engaging and entertaining. And I think what we're really yet to find is a potential streaming platform to really show that off at its best ability.
Mm.
Now, in order for a good stream to be the case, you need fantastic players, but you need them with fantastic personalities.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, like with, I would actually say 40k is a little bit more like wrestling than it potentially might, be in terms of other games, right? Because the game isn't just black and white. It's not. It's
No.
not based on a computer. There is interpretation. There is an element of chance. There's in not only who you play, but also then obviously the dice rolls themselves. We've
Mm.
got these factions. We've got the good guys. You got the bad guys, and whether you think Chaos are the good guys or whatever, that's up to you. But
Yeah.
you know, we've got supporters for armies. We've got supporters for teams. We've got supporters for personalities. And unfortunately, until we really can all agree on who or what we're going to support is really difficult, because what if your favorite player is playing the faction you hate? Maybe, I don't know. Who do you support then? So I think
Yeah.
sometimes for there to be a fan base, we need to really define what actually we're supporting. Is it the player? Is it the team? Is it the faction? And I think that's something that obviously we need to try and work on in order to make this a really professional esport, along with having streaming teams that support the players that are playing. Because at the moment, you go to a tournament and they might say to you, Steve, do you want to play on stream? And I'll probably say no.
Fair
because
enough. Fair enough.
because why does it, in terms of how I've seen people play on streams, at tournaments, or I've seen the controversy that happens, as a
Always.
player, I don't feel protected to play on somebody else's stream.
Yeah, so I actually think the same as that, because I was a little nervous at LGT this year, because I was doing quite well, and I pulled Alex Harrison for my round 3 game, and I was thinking, okay, big name, I might be on the stream for this, and I was quite nervous of it, because I've seen how the internet reacts to people
Yeah,
if they make the tiniest mistake. And what if I advance something, shoot something, and then maybe do like let me just take that back, and I've just done it, almost like a chess where you take your finger off and it's done,
yeah,
and the community then bombards the
yeah,
chat, and it just creates some story that maybe isn't the right one. And
yeah. I get it on my streams all the time, right? At this precise moment, at 10:45, you made an incorrect maneuver on this. And you're like, cool. All right. We try and keep it fast. We try and, keep it entertaining. We play with a lot of intent on, this is my own stream. You're coming to my house in my YouTube channel. But that's unfortunately the internet for you. People don't go, oh, at 10:43, great play, everybody. Really good work. But they will always point out your mistakes. And I think sometimes from a YouTuber perspective, in terms of streaming, are you protected as a player? Absolutely not.
no.
You being paid to play on stream? Absolutely not. So there's no real incentive to play on stream. It's basically you're putting yourself on the firing lane.
Yeah.
So for me, anyway, long story short, that needs to change. The whole
Yeah.
mindset around how we interact with people playing needs to change, because it is a game of ambiguity. There are grey areas. If you're not at the table playing that person, you don't know their intent. Whereas you and I could have a really cool discussion before the game about how we want to play this game. And, I've had it before where someone goes, oh, Stephen, at 50 minutes, you moved a tree. That is cheating. I'm like,
Oh
what?
no.
Whereas I'm like, you just got in the way. I want to make sure my models are in coherency, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if you and I at the start of the game be like, oh, if I need move a bit of rubble or something, you don't mind, do you? That's cool, mate. You just
Yeah.
crack on. We're playing with intent, but the internet doesn't see that. So until we change our mindset about how we interact with these things, players don't feel protected. Streamers might not necessarily defend the players in the right way, or they might try to leverage it for views. So there's so many different things here, maybe as a slight hurdle or a barrier for us in order to get to where we want, where we've got a really cool professional esport. I think there's one people that could do it, and that relies with Warhammer.
Yes, I agree. I think we're making baby steps at the moment, because
Yeah,
we had a couple of channels cover some of the UK events and London GT, where they had a constant coverage. Then we had a few of the well-known commentators and old competitive players. They were there, like making sure everyone knew what was going on. And then from when I was watching some of the US Opens, they had Frontline Gaming were doing a lot of that, and they're very good at that because they have
yeah,
really good commentary, and they usually go straight onto YouTube afterwards. So if you do miss anything, um, you know, you can kind of catch it up. And then it was even in lockdown last year where they had the tournament, the streamers tournament, where you all had to submit different lists, and then it
we had
ended
the
up
LVO Open.
the LVO Open, exactly.
Yeah,
And I think that was kind of the start, really, because I know US events have been doing live streams and that. And I know Hellstorm Wargamer, he's done his own live stream events before. But I think really that was kind of the community getting more involved, because you had all these channels sharing, and it's
Brilliant.
very entertaining. I loved it. It was a great weekend.
I actually think the Nopen was probably the closest we can get to that sort of format and style.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I think it's fantastic that, Warhammer have brought out this Warhammer Plus.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think they could definitely use that as a way of making this game become more of an esport. So they could go, right, this week we've got insert so and so versus insert so and so. And it's filmed, it's pre recorded, where, those levels of intent or mistakes or whatever can be just edited out. So
yeah,
again, it protects the players, but you still get the same result. So again, it can be more, it's faster, it's, edited down. Live battle reports are brilliant, but they can be a bit slow. And if your commentary team isn't great and engaging, then it's just really boring. So, nobody wants to watch 3 hours of a top down view where, half of that is just nothing happening. So,
yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
I think I would love it to go to an esport. And I really hope Games Workshop take the ball by the horns here and go, actually, I think this is something that we could do.
yeah.
And, as it's their game, really make the most of it and take it to that level would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it'd be great for the fan base, and we obviously we know how big 40K has gotten over just a short period of time. Lockdown has helped because all the old nerds come back, and they've been dusting off and getting back into the hobby. So the state of the game at the moment, we just spoke about like the esport and the escalation to it. But the state of the game at the moment, there's a lot of controversy at the moment mainly because of the army I play, which is Drukhari. And obviously, as a 40K coach, I kind of just want to talk to you about how you think, like up until now, it's kind of been in the UK tournament scene, and I kind of want to ask, because a lot of people are being put off, and I don't think they should be put off. What do you think?
Okay, so the first thing is that unfortunately we live in an echo chamber. And
Yeah,
what that means is, if you're not familiar with all my saying there of an echo chamber, is that unfortunately sometimes the most competitive voices spread the loudest.
mm.
Now that doesn't really represent exactly what's going to happen if you go to a tournament. So, for example, you're going to be like, "Oh my god, Thick City is everywhere. Everyone on the internet's talking about Thick City and Crusher Stampede." I'm not going to lie. I haven't even seen a Tyrannid Herodon, whatever it. I've never seen one.
They're
You
so
know,
big. They're
but
so big.
but if you go on the internet, it's like everyone in their
Yeah,
mums is packing one. So
yeah,
again,
yeah,
we live in like I said, an echo chamber where the same people are saying the same things, which is one of the reasons why I don't really watch many other people's content. So
yeah.
therefore, my own content is always original, based on my own thoughts and
Hmm.
feelings, rather than regurgitating what somebody else has said. So yeah, Drukhari are strong. They've been strong since they've been released. We've seen Games Workshop take some incredible steps this year. I mean, unbelievable
Yeah,
steps. The balance update every quarter, absolutely incredible. Obviously, we've seen them change secondaries over the time. We've seen points change. So, seeing their commitment to make the game more balanced, and obviously I may be biased here, but I think all the moves that they've done so far are the right moves.
agree. I
Um,
actually agree. Being a
you know,
Drukhari player myself, we have had, was it Fornus? We had the Dark Technomancer one because that was broken. Then we had the points increases to make succubuses and everything a bit more expensive. That's fine. That's fine. The points increases were just, I think very biased here, saying that I think witches maybe went up too much because I just love them, and I have like 30 or 40 of them painted, but now I will only run 5. But
so is it that they're too much, or is it that there's still other good options in that book that you just take over them?
here's the thing I always
They're
talk
not a
about.
competitive choice at the moment, right? They're
They
just
they are in certain builds, but to get those certain builds, you've got to sacrifice a lot. Like
yeah.
I'm going to a tournament this weekend, and this will be last week from when this comes out. And I'm taking a really weird list, and it was on the front line gaming. They kind of brought my list up and was just like, this is Dom's list, and it's got a Ravager, it's got Talos, it's got this, it's got that, it's got this, it's got that, and it basically what I'm saying is the Drukhari book is so good and balanced across everywhere, no matter what they'll nerf, we'll find another way to make it better, because all the individual units have got one thing in common. That is the problem with the codex. Drukhari should have never have got advanced and charge on the power up and pain table so early. That is the problem. And if you just fix that when the codex came out, they wouldn't be broken. For an army that's so fast and so damaging in combat, it's too quick to get the advanced and charge, because you can get it turn 1 with Blackheart and the Animus Vitae relic. And if it was turn 3, much better, because then you'll be like White Scars, where you have to wait a bit before you really bring the hammer down, which gives the players the opportunity to then kind of maneuver around, bounce around, kind of score those early points before they get, hit with the waves.
Yeah. I mean, the book is strong. I mean, you just close your eyes, chuck a dart and hit a, data sheet, and you'd be like, cool, take 3 of them. Happy days. So that in a way is good, that all models are playable, and I'm always of the impression that I never want any unit to be a standout, and I also never want a unit to be a never take either. So again, that's always something that, I want in my job, in my role as a playtester, and I'm sure also probably Games Workshop want the same, right? This whole conspiracy of Games Workshop just change the rules because then they can push model sales. No, that's not how that works. Because when a model is out of stock on the website, right? If I'm okay, so let's take, I don't know, let's say I sell dice, right? Let's say I sell different colored dice, and one of them is just always out of stock, right? Because it's the most popular one. That's not good for business, because people ain't buying money. They're not spending the money buying the product. Yeah. Because they're going to wait until it comes in stock. At which point, the money that they had that month to spend on your dice or your product, they're going to spend it elsewhere. So when they come to buy, they might not have that money the money that they had, they may not have it anymore and need to wait for next month. Oh, it's out of stock again. So actually what we want is this opportunity where everything is an option. If you've been playing 30 years and you've still got your old army, everything's still an option. If you want to buy new units, that's an option. And that shows a really healthy game state where we're in a really diverse ecosystem and environment where you could turn up, be like, you're playing Drukhari, but that looks completely different to the other dude I played 2 weeks ago of his Drukhari army. And that's what we want. We want diversity. And the game's much more diverse than it's ever been before. I remember back in 8th edition, the meta list was a Castellan. You had 30 loyal guardsmen, 30 loyal to, and then you had 3 Blood Angel Smash Captains and, 3 units of scouts. That was the list, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody had it, a bit of changes here or there, or you played Ynnari. And that was about all you got, right?
Ynnari.
So we've evolved so much more now where, I'm thinking of, what army do I take to the LVO? Biggest event, potentially of my life. What do I take? Well, I've got so many choices. I'm not going, let me just get my Castellan out, my Loyal 32, because I'll probably play Ynnari 5 times and then maybe another Castellan another 5 times. So again, it's so much more diverse now, which is awesome. It's incredible. I think it's fantastic. But
yeah, I agree. It's like it's been waves after waves of different styles of armies, because in the summer we did have a lot of like the Raider Rush, then we evolved to the Admech Menace, which was bonkers. Then they got toned down. Then Grey Knights started to pop up, Sisters started to pop up, and the Orcs came out and kind of changed the game completely with the buggy lists. And then now we're seeing Nids crop back up, and now everyone's really scared of Tau when they come out, because all of those guns just look ridiculous from the previews. But we all miss hating on Tau, so it's fine. It's almost like a meme of like everyone hates Tau. It's quite funny. Speaking of LVO, and you're going, and have you got a couple of other Vanguards people going, like
Ben Jones is going? Yeah, my fellow coach in team player Ben Jones. Me and him are heading over. So yeah, and then I think we've got a few students playing as well, so it should be quite good. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Really
that's
excited
great.
For it.
And so you've started to get into the scene a lot. Well, I'm not saying started. You are embedded in the competitive scene, being a coach, and you know, there's the Frontline Gaming. They approached you.
Yes, so we are collaborating this year, and what we've put on this year for the people that are going to the LVO, or even people that are just want to attend this event as a solo thing. You don't even need to be playing; you could just come to this. What I'm running is a workshop. Now, this workshop is aimed for people that really want to get confident at the table, so they can put all their anxiety and worry to one side. They don't need to worry about who or what they're playing. They can just focus on enjoying the time at the event, so they know what to expect. They know how player place terrain works. They know what sort of questions they should be asking their opponent at the start of the game. They know how to develop a mission plan so that they can just stick to that with their army. So we're going to be spending a fair few good hours, myself and Ben, coaching these people throughout the workshop and just helping them feel much more confident at the table. So it's not for people that want to win at all cost in the rest of it. No, it's not for that. It's for people that just want to enjoy the hobby and just want to have a laugh, meet some friends, but not have to. Because I think that can sometimes be the case when you go to a big event or your first event. You're worried like, oh, is my opponent going to think I'm slow? Is my opponent going to think I'm cheating? You then get so wrapped up in the anxiety of it, you can't really relax. You can't enjoy it. So the whole workshop approach is to help that. Then we're going to go out for dinner after, just really enjoy the event. For some of those people that wanted the dinner ticket, they can get to know me and Ben a little bit more, and then they can check in with us over the course of the weekend to see how they're getting on. So I've created a little Discord group for these people that are on the like the top tier package, and just sort of guiding them a little bit more who wanted that extra additional support. So it's been a fantastic experience to work with Frontline. Fantastic organization. I went over the SoCal Open a couple of years ago, had a great time there, went back for the LVO with them. So Reese, Frankie and Kicker and Val all do an incredible job over there. So it's been fantastic to work with them a little bit more. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Well, that's great. It sounds like a great opportunity, and this is another thing which always, I'm a fan of Vanguard Tactics 4. Well, yourself mainly because you push this sort of, you need to be a community. Everyone looks after each other. Tournaments can be quite scary to a lot of people, and getting the right mindset and not being afraid of things is a big thing. Like I'm going to the tournament I told you about. I'm going to this weekend. It's a big event. It's a big 100-person event, and I'm taking my friend who hasn't been to a tournament before, and he is like worrying about like, oh, I don't know all the rules. I'm going to play slow, all this sort of stuff, and I was just like, slow it down. Just enjoy yourself. You're there to play Warhammer. It's going to be fun. Like every event I've been to this summer, I have like a couple of them I didn't even know anyone, and I would just go. But by the end of the weekend, I'm chatting to everyone. Everyone gets to know you. People come up and look at your army, you get chatting, and I've got to say, tournaments aren't a threatening environment. They're friendly. They're everyone's there for the exact same thing because they love Warhammer, and they want to share it with everyone. And this is a big thing.
We're all a bunch of nerds together, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We're just we're just nerds.
Bloody nerds everywhere, you know, and that's it. We're all, you know, in this same place where we all love the game. We all let's be honest, you're not going to be like, you know, you're going to ask them more questions. Oh, what army do you play? Oh, when did you start playing? Not what do you do for a living? You know, that sometimes comes up, but you've always got something in common, right? Oh, how did you paint that? That looks awesome. How do you do that gold blend? Or I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's always stuff to talk about. How are you getting on? Oh, I'm going 3-2. Lost my first game against Admech. Oh, not Admech. Yeah, I played them last week and they were, you know, the conversation just happens, right? Before you know it, you're chatting and it's like you're chatting to your best friend.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So, you briefly touched on player to place terrain when you were talking about LVO, and I just want to talk about that just a little bit before we move on to some other topics. But do you want to explain to everyone what player place terrain is? Because in the UK, for the UK people, we don't really run that event at events, and I kind of think it would be interesting to kind of shake it up a bit.
Yeah, so I think there's some distinct differences here. You got player placed, which has happened in the past where you basically can put the terrain anywhere, which is not good. That's not good.
No.
What is better is what the guys at Frontline Gaming do is player optimized terrain. Now, what this means is there is an equal amount of terrain. So let's say You get a container, I get a container, I get a medium size L shape, you get a medium, and I get a large. So let's just take 4 pieces: big ruin, small ruin, crater, container, and now I'm going, okay, so I know this is 5, but like a dense piece of terrain, like some woods, right? So we roll off. Okay, who goes? Defender, attacker. And you can put down the defender puts down their first piece of terrain on their half of the battlefield. So if it's hammer and anvil, so like the short edge deployment, you get up to the halfway line to put your terrain down. I cannot put any other piece of terrain down within 4 inches. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a ruin, if you've put a ruin down and I've put a ruin down, they can't go together within 6. So what this means is, no matter what deployment you're on, you will have terrain in your half roughly where you need it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it then means, as a player, you can think, right, I want a firing lane here. So if I put a piece of terrain there, that blocks my opponent from putting a piece there as well. So I can keep that objective out in the open, so I can create a firing lane that way. But I sacrifice giving up a portion of the table elsewhere where he's going to, or she is going to be able to move into that with their, Blood Angel jump pack army or whatever. They can just move and hop from, ruin to ruin based on how they choose. Yeah. So this means that you can actually spend a little bit of time developing a strategy around the terrain and where the objectives are, and for the mission, and protecting your army. And the great thing is for an organization like Frontline is that they place the terrain down, and it's up to the players to move it around, because this way you're putting more emphasis on the skill level of the player versus list design, which can sometimes happen at, for example, a fixed map. So here's the map, this is what you're playing, this is the measurements between this ruin, and this is what you're playing on that mission. So as a player, I can go, cool, well, I know I've got, these units to hold that objective, and if I take that unit with the bodyguard keyword, I can string it back until this objective. You can just optimize it too much. Now, there's pros and cons to both. And this is something that we could talk about at a much greater length. So the pros of like player optimized is that there's some decent cover. You can have it kind of roughly where you want it. Sometimes there might not be as much terrain as other events. So if you just like more terrain on the table, maybe this isn't the best way to go. But sometimes with a fixed layout, it can be good, because obviously you don't have the whole scratching your head for 10 minutes worrying about, because it's like another step in the game. So especially for people that are new, maybe player optimized terrain isn't brilliant, because potentially there might be a worry there of, what if I put this in the wrong place? Like, have you already lost the game before you started? So again, that's why we're doing the workshop, so I can cover that in a bit more detail for these people. But essentially there's pros and cons to both, and there always will be. And like a con of like the fixed layout is obviously, it can be teched a little bit too hard from the list design, or if it isn't right, then all of a sudden everyone's having a bad time, or certain armies are going to have a really bad time because you can't optimize it to where you want it. So I think that is something that what we need is a hybrid. Yeah. What about hybrid, Dom, where what you can do is you can move, it's fixed, but then you can move it so many inches? It's a game changer. Anyway.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Like priority target with the objectives.
Oh, I was thinking that because I like the idea of not forcing the large majority of tournament players who are there kind of just to go with their mates and are kind of separated from the pack who are there to win it or there to do really well.
And you're talking about like a 90-10 split, aren't you? From just the general player base to 10%. Yeah.
So I would have the top so many tables. Let's say if it's out of 100 tables, the top 10 tables, they are player terrain. And the rest have just the rules as they are, and with just the rules pack set up. And I really like the idea that you just suggested, where you have the terrain already set out, and then you can move it from it. Because there's like the New Games Workshop maps. They're great in the middle, but why is the forest on the outside? It'd be great to just move them in a little bit. Especially when you need to get cover just to stop the speed war from getting off, because that can be horrific. So just speaking about events, you went to a Gibraltar tournament, which was a Legends tournament. How was that?
Yeah, so Legends was a very different style of tournament. It was for me, it was a bit more of a I saw it as a very sort of casual event in terms of what I was taking. I just took an army that I knew the rules inside out because I knew there would be a potential of playing on stream. I wouldn't want to get anything wrong. And really, it was a networking event more than anything
Mm,
because it was hosted by the awesome guys of SM Battle Reports, and they invited
great
people
guys.
over and they invited loads and loads of different people over. Obviously, some accepted, some didn't. Who whether they host sit in chat shows or battle report channels or whatever it might be. So a whole host of us went over. We had a great time, but it wasn't those things like. It probably wasn't as ultra competitive as some other events. I think me and Adrian from Tabletop Titans had a game where we were just chatting about the game. We were like, oh, actually, we're running out of time, but we better hurry up. So, we wouldn't have spent that long chatting if we were normally playing. And in it, we had some really nice back and forths, and it was just a case of coming to a nice conclusion for the event. So on the whole, it was a really good, fun experience. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, because
And
that's
most
another
importantly, we
event.
raised loads of money for charity. So yeah,
Yeah, that is the most important thing, and it's a fantastic thing that all of you have done. And for future, I assume that they're going to be doing more events like this in the future, where
hopefully,
they
yeah,
yeah, hopefully, because it's a great cause, and it was for everyone who didn't manage to catch it. It was I think it's on their channel as well, but
yeah,
they were live streamed, so you could have seen people listening. You could have been seeing Mr. Box play all these different
like
players. I mean, I
game
caught your
one
first game,
against
which
Bridger.
was
Yep,
that was a great game. That was a
that was a
great
good game.
game.
Yeah,
Good. It was a good matchup. There was a few failed charges from his point on the first turn, which was quite fun.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's great to just see all of these different communities come together, because obviously you all make content, and you probably don't get enough chance to kind of play each other because
yeah.
you're doing your own things. You're going to tournaments, doing a great job there, um, and it's a great thing to have. Talking about your content creation, so you do a lot of live battle reports, which is like the main thing you do, and I got to commend you on the quality of these battle reports, because it is crisp. Everything is done perfectly. You have these very very high quality cameras. You've got the amazing lighting. You've got really nice terrain set up, and it's never something that just looks like MDF cut out with a rusty spoon.
Yeah,
It's all made properly, painted beautifully, with little scatter bits of terrain everywhere, just so the battlefield looks like it's there, like it's a snapshot out of the 40k universe.
yeah.
Um, with commentators, and you invite all these different people on to help commentate. So, do you
Yeah.
want to talk a bit about your battle reports, and maybe some people can catch them in the future?
Yeah, so we stream every Monday night, 7 o'clock. Now, sometimes obviously we can't because this, not, I don't know when you release this, but maybe I'll be in Vegas. Obviously, we can't stream.
Yeah,
But I appreciate the sentiment as well. Like, even now, I'm like, oh, this week, I was like, oh, if I just tweak this camera setting, I can get us not looking as washed out from the lighting. So I've just bought new lighting for the studio.
yeah.
Because we moved studios, I had to buy all the new lights, and I went from undercooking them to overcooking them. So I was like, okay, I need to tone these down a bit. So I'm always like, I'm a perfectionist. I'm always trying to tweak it. But anyway, you're right. We want to get the most out of the equipment that we've got with nice close-up shots, because we spend a long time painting on models, or Siege Studios have done some fantastic work for us. And we really want to show those off because that really helps, build people in or bring people into the actual game to see the fight, see what's
Yeah.
going on. And we try to be a bit of a blend between education and entertainment. So we play fast. We try and just get through as much as we possibly can of the game. Sometimes we don't resolve certain stuff because it's just not really significant and it's just wasting people's time. But what we want to do is focus on our decision making. So, for example, it could be, I might say to my opponent, Jake, I might like, Jake, if you put your models here, I could do that. Whereas if you put them there, I won't be able to do this. So which decision do you want to make? And we take the opportunity to have what we call these coaching moments where we
Mm,
stop the game, we have a look at the tactical decision. Do we go left? Do we go right? Do we make decision A? Do we make decision B? Because that's going to really help people at the table think, oh, I would have made that mistake. I didn't realize that I could have done something differently. And unfortunately, when you just watch people play,
yeah.
especially good players, they do a lot of things instinctively, but they don't tell you as to why they're
Mm,
making these decisions. Now, for us, we want to break that down. We'll have a laugh, The commentators try and do a great job to keep the chat engaged while we're thinking about our movement phase or whatever it might be. And yeah, that we just want to have a good time with it. And for example, the week at the last one just gone, Michael was running his Gene Stealer comp. He failed every single psychic power with the poor lad. And I want to make a game of it. So, I say to him, hey, let's just that last psychic power you used a reroll
Let it
for.
go.
Let's,
Yeah.
let's just say it went off, shall we? Let's not get, because there comes a point where you've got some empathy for your opponent. I've had it before. I was playing at the LGT a few years ago, and I mean, funny enough, I just had the worst game of my life, and now playing this guy now, where I was like, he had such a bad roll. I was like, can you please just re-roll all that, because that was awful, because I was like, I don't want to win this way. I don't want to win
No,
because
you never do.
you just rolled a load of ones and twos. I want a challenge from you, not because you've just been screwed over by the dice. So I think having empathy for your opponent is really important. And we try and get that across when we play. We try to play with intent. We try and show good sporting moments as well as those coaching elements on our stream games. But yeah, every Monday night on the Vanguard Tactics YouTube channel, 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time or UK time. I think that's roughly 1 o'clock Central Time. We kick off. And we've got a great chat, a really good community. Everybody gets behind what we do, and it's a really nice, positive place to be. So if you're a positive person and you want to come and watch some 40k and have a laugh with us, then maybe learn a thing or two potentially. Then yeah, come and get involved.
Yeah, I fully support it. Like it's great. The live streams are really good. Your chat is always an absolute laugh to be in. It's a great little community, and everyone there. It's a whole team. It's not just two people. You've got a whole team. You've got people behind the desk chatting away, doing rules checks, all these different things. And you've got the players themselves.
And we've got specific cameramen as well, or women, as it were. So yeah.
You do. So your academy. Let's talk about that, because it's a very interesting approach to kind of how content creators have been. Because the majority of the time it's been like people have been doing live streams. They've been doing sign up to my website and you watch this special battle report. But Vanguard's different. Vanguard Tactics cares about the communities. It cares about how people approach 40k, and I think it's great. Like, can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, I originally decided to. I wanted something when I got into the game to help me progress faster. I wanted something that I could watch, learn. I've been on business courses. I've been on hundreds of nutrition and training courses. And I thought when I came into this space, I was thinking, I'm a trained teacher. I've got all the skills in software I need to do this. So I wanted to provide a product that I would have wanted to learn from. And that's what we rolled out was Academy version 1. And it was like a mentoring program where we discussed tactical elements. And then it got expanded to pre-recorded lessons in a course where you do different lessons in modules like you would if you were studying like an online degree or something.
Yeah.
And we're just about to roll out phase 3. And this is our kind of, hopefully our next refined version of the Academy, which launches in February. And I'm really excited to launch it. But basically, the community's been fantastic that we have at Vanguard Tactics. All the students really help one another. It's so positive. We've got online events that happen just for our own students. And every single week we have these weekly live lessons that support the pre-recorded content. So, for example, we've got a module on how to write an army list, how to analyze your codex, how to take into consideration how the meta changes and how then that influences your choices. Because we don't want to just say to people, do you know what? Orcs, here's the list. Just go out and buy, all
Rocket
these buggies
trucks.
or whatever. Yeah. What I want to do is help someone, and which is I'm really proud of. We've actually got a lot of best in faction players that are on our team or as a student, because I want to help people get the most out of their army in the way that they want to play it. If somebody says, Steve, Catachan Horde, every guy's got to be, rocking some beefy biceps. That's my army. I'm going to be all for that. I'm like, right, so how do we make the coolest Catachan army, and how do we get you as competent and confident with it as we possibly can when you get to the table? And then it's about setting expectations and realistic goals. So with that person, it might not be, the most optimized list, So where do we set their expectations? How do we let them improve and progress in a way that they get satisfaction from that? And they can still be a great, confident commander at the tabletop, knowing that they love their army. But it doesn't have to be, win at all cost,
No.
Trying to buy the latest list because so-and-so ran it in America or Stephen Box ran it or whoever else ran it. It doesn't matter. It's got to be your army, your list.
Yeah, finding your identity, because there's a lot of players out there that really like playing fluffy. They may just really like dreadnoughts or just really, really like squig buggies. But they generally just might love them. And they just want to be like, I just have these models. Can you help me actually play that at the next level, but me still loving all these models I've made?
And it all comes down to the fundamentals, right? So if you're good at the movement phase, we've got a module on the movement phase, shooting phase, charge phase, you name it, there's a module on it, right? So the fundamentals of the game underpin player skill.
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo at football is a fantastic football player, not because he's wearing a certain kit, not because he's bought the latest trainers, not because he's, got the latest kit bag or whatever else it might be. It's because he knows the basics.
He does.
He can pass. He can stop the ball. He can cross. He can do the fundamentals with his eyes closed. And when you watch a good player play, they do the fundamentals with ease. They don't really think about it because then that actually allows them time to focus on the decisions that they need to make. What's the terrain looking like now? What's the mission? What are my secondary picks? What's my opponent doing? What are these stratagems I've got to think about? Because the basics of the game are embedded. They do not need to think about them. It allows more focus and more available focus to be placed elsewhere for them to reach a higher skill level in the game. Not thinking, well, I've bought this list because it's everyone else is winning with it, so I should win with it. And they're thinking, oh, well, what do I do with this? And they're all over the shop with it. So again, we just want to help people with the fundamentals of the game. And that's really where the pure player skill comes from.
Yeah, I totally agree, because the amount of times, I'm sure you as well, you'll notice all these different players who bounce from armies to armies and armies, and then there's some that can get away with it, and they're like a computer, the way they store their information and know how to react to everything. But there's a lot of people that will bounce around like meta chasing all these armies, like jumping from one army, selling it, jumping from one army, sell it, or borrowing their friends. But they'll go to an event and they'll lose their first game, and they're just like, how have I lost this game? It's because they haven't got used to all of the basics to really kind of churn out these reactionable things where you go, I know I have to do this. I know I have to, like, here's a really good player. I can put my bodyguard on this objective. Celestine's in front. I've got the objective. If they come near, I'll hurricane the beam. That sort of thing where you just get to be reactional to it. And I'm sure that's exactly what you get to the point with all of your students. They get to the point where they feel confident enough that they can react to any situation that comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. They can play the game that they want to play. They're not being, bullied by their opponent on the tabletop, so to speak. So,
yeah. So, I think I've taken enough of your time. This is roughly about 40 minutes. The last thing I want to talk to you about is just very quickly, because like I've said before, like, you're doing a great job in the community. There's a thing you're running at the moment for Fit for 40k, and it's all over your Instagram, and it's basically getting people to, get fit for 40k, because we've been through a pandemic where there's not a lot of exercise for myself personally, and I have been inspired to do a bit of this, bit of that. But how did this come about? Because obviously you used to, you tell the story.
Okay, yeah. So Fit for 40k came about because, it's the one thing that I'm extremely qualified to talk in, right? You can't exactly go and get a Warhammer qualification. I suppose probably the closest thing is my course, but it's not like some sort of recognized thing, right? Where you get, I don't know. But so when it comes to nutrition and training, that's what I've done for the last sort of 10 years. I've coached all different walks of life, from people that just want to lose a little bit of weight. I've got some people that want to reverse their type 2 diabetes. I've had, professional bodybuilders, world champions, Hollyoaks stars I've worked with. So a whole host of different people I've worked with to help them improve their education on nutrition and fitness to lead a healthier life, both physically and mentally. And so here's the thing, right? a lot of people think is easy when you're already in shape. And what I wanted to do was be honest. I wanted to
Mm.
share what I was doing. I need accountability like anybody else to reach my goals. And
Yeah.
accountability is so crucial. So I thought, do you know what? I don't have a coach at the moment for, I have done in the past for fitness. I'll tell you what, I'll see if the, Warhammer community will keep me accountable. And I thought, do you know what? It'd be great if other people get on board with it and together we can stay accountable to one another. And that's what I've tried to do is I've just tried to create a bit of a movement, a bit of a tribe around this, using the hashtag fit for 40K because it sounded cool.
It
But
does.
really what I want people is to be just happier in life. And in order to do that, we really need to look after ourselves. Your true wealth is the size of your health. Okay. So you're only ever going to get one body. That is it. You can't unfortunately get another one. It's not like you can just go and buy another Primera Space Marine. You've just got the one to work with. And I think often we can take our health for granted. We really do. I think every day people wake up and they don't think about how lucky they are to have a fully functioning body. Okay. Or unfortunately, not everybody does. But sometimes we really need to make sure that every day we can do something, we really do something.
Yeah.
So that we can constantly progress in life. Now, I don't need to go into the ramifications of not doing this kind of stuff. I think most people probably know it's not good for you to sit around and just overindulge on food for the serious amount of problems that it will cause, both mentally and physically. So, Fit for 40K, I've just said to people, look, if you're on Instagram, you go to the gym. I don't care what you do, whether it's Zumba, weightlifting, powerlifting, just, use the hashtag Fit for 40K.
Yeah.
Now, it went so much more popular than I ever imagined. It really did. And, what I've been doing is sharing things like this morning. I didn't want to get out of bed and go to the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was cold. It was foggy. I didn't want to go. But people go, oh, it's all right for you, Steve, because you're used to that. No, I'm still cold. I'm still human. I
Yeah.
still wanted to stay in bed and watch Netflix until 2 a.m. like everybody else. I didn't want to have to go, actually, I'm going to turn that off now so I can get an early night to get to the gym. I didn't want to do that. Okay. But I want the result of how great I can feel once I've been to the gym and done some exercise. So I felt if I shared on my story a little bit more, I suppose, about, the vulnerability that I still have doing this kind of stuff, that would help others express and share theirs, because sometimes we just need to talk about this stuff. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be, to find things difficult and find things hard. But the hardest thing to do is just starting. Once you've started, the rest is, the process, and you just need to trust within it. So, I've had a lot of requests whether I would, take this one step further, and I probably will. In terms of probably March time, I'm probably going to kick off a Fit for 40K group program. So if people want to get some, expert advice on their fitness and nutrition in a community where we can keep keep each other a lot more accountable, and I'll just provide everything everybody ever needs from an educational standpoint, I'll probably roll that out in the future if the demand is there for it. For the time being, it's just some funsies just to post on Instagram, but something may, progress in the future. And so a few years ago, I used to run a fitness retreat in Marbella.
Okay.
And it has the most incredible human assault course you could ever imagine. And it would be, imagine like a Space Marines playground.
That's exactly what I just thought. Then I was just like, are you trying to make Space Marines now? Is this what it's come to? You're gonna make the Space Marines?
It's legit. Like, we're talking rope climbs, we're talking
Wow.
tarpauling, we're talking like, just log pressing, throwing, Atlas stone moving, climbing under cargo nets, rope swinging. Like, the
Jesus.
most incredible intensive assault course used to be at this place. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if I did that again? But we called it like, the Space Marine training camp. So we a bunch of us just go over to Marbella, have some training, go onto the beach, chill out at the pool, talk about 40K. I mean, sounds like a great holiday to me. I'm in. So
Yeah.
I just need some other people to come with me now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it sounds great. But yeah, so I think we'll wrap that up here because I wanted to keep this bite sized for everyone listening. And obviously you've given up your time. Thank you so much for coming on.
No problem.
And just please, if you haven't checked out Vanguard Tactics and what Mr. Box has been doing, like all over Instagram with the Fit for 40K, his live battle reports, his coaching service, his tournament stuff. How many things I want to list off here, and you can also track him on the ITC. He'll be going to LVO, and then that's when the season finishes, and it's a big deal because it's the biggest tournament in the world. But then next year when it kicks off, you can track him and all of the Vanguard Tactics team, and then I'm sure you'll see people popping around with the merchandise and everything like that. But I'll link everything that you need to follow Stephen and the Vanguard Tactics boys down in the description below. And thank
That'd be
you
awesome.
for talking wargaming with me. And
no problem. And that's exactly what I want. I want someone to see the Vanguard Tactics logo and think, I'm going to have a great game against this opponent, because I know that they, sportsmanship and fair play is at the heart of everything that we do at VT. So hopefully if you ever meet one of my students or myself or one of my coaches, you do have an incredible game, and that's what it's all about.
Great. Thank you. Well, thanks for being such a tabletop legend. And this is the first episode of Let's Talk Wargaming.